Larson watched from the stands. David Cohn went on to pitch his own perfect game. Back in 1974, Nolan Ryan entered the Guinness Book of World Records for throwing the fastest pitch ever recorded at 100.9 miles per hour. Since then, it's become more commonplace for pitchers to reach that magical mark. A.J. Burnett, Eric Gagne, Rich Harden, they've all done it. But there was one pitcher that didn't just reach that mark. He smashed right through it. He put up numbers never seen before and that will never be seen again. His name is Sid Finch. And this is his story.
The world knows that a fastball's coming.
Well, a guy that can throw that hard is pretty baffling.
Keep your eye trained on the speed gun.
When he broke onto the scene in 1985, the Mets pitching sensation Sid Finch stunned the baseball world with his unbelievable arm. He'd never actually learned to play the game, but could throw a baseball 168 miles per hour with pinpoint accuracy. He was a man full of contradictions and quirks, like his penchant for pitching wearing just one boot, his phenomenal ability to play the French horn, and his bizarre background as a Tibetan monk. On April 1st, 1985, Sid Finch announced the end of his baseball career before it began, and became the best baseball prospect to never play the game. He told the world he was compelled to follow a more solitary pursuit, the game of golf.
As I'm walking off, Gary Carter's there signing autographs. People are coming out of the stands to get closer, and they're holding out baseballs to have signed. And I didn't feel right actually signing the baseballs for the people. And Gary Carter finally looked over and said, "Come on, Sid, sign the balls. Just join the ranks. Come on along." So they just started signing Sid Finch baseballs. It's been unusual.
Philip, did you have tests today at school too?
Sid still throws the ball around a little gentler now into the midst of his sons. It's an amazing story, but a story is all it ever was. The curious case of Sid Finch was just an elaborate April Fool's Day hoax, the brainchild of Sports Illustrated writer George Plimpton.
He came up with the idea of Sid Finch, this mystic Buddhist monk character that through the power of Zen was able to develop this great fastball.
Burton's friend Lane Stewart was the photographer on the shoot and decided that Burton was the perfect Sid Finch.
So we had a printout from George on the characteristics of this guy, what he was all about. So it was essentially up to Lane and I to kind of work with that and go with it.
Were you involved in any of the details of the story? I mean, some of them were so far-fetched, a 168-mile-per-hour fastball.
I told George if he got it down to about 140, it'd probably be really believable, but he liked the whole idea of sticking with 168. I mean, the whole idea of then pitching with a bare foot, I was walking around with only one boot on and the other big foot just bare. That certainly caused a response. It seemed to have taken almost a day or two for word to get out that this was just a big April Fool's joke. It wasn't in the years of that sort of internet craze where it just would have, that whole surprise, the story would have probably been dismissed almost instantly.
Sid became an instant celebrity. No matter how many years would pass, he would still get recognized. You became a star because of the story.
I've been exposed to a lot of the sports scene. I've met some wonderful people over the years, some good athletes, some sports fans. I've had some great adventures because of it. Add a little darker color.
In reality, the sensation known as Sid Finch is actually a mild-mannered art teacher in a Chicago suburb. His students weren't even alive when his story broke. But every year around this time, he teaches a little bit of history along with his art.
His only possessions were a Tibetan food bowl and a rug and a French horn. So I showed up at Mets training camp.
2 weeks after the story came out, Sports Illustrated acknowledged that in fact it was all a hoax. And while some readers were so angry they canceled their subscriptions, the majority thought it was a great tale, even if it wasn't true. For his part, the writer George Plimpton said,